Welcome to Portway. Tonight we're joined by the new head coach, James Panter, and the captain, Jonny Higgins. So, firstly, James, what has been your path to this role?
So for me, I've played since I was 16, 17. Started out at Camp Hill, moved to Edwardians, picked up an injury, which kind of stopped me from playing for 2, 3 years. And in that time, kind of went down the coaching route. Started out at civil service, then moved on to Edwardians, and then obviously bees this year. So excited to get going.
And Jonny, same question to you.
Yeah, so I used to play down here as a mini and junior a long time ago. Then at that point, we sort of had to go and find other clubs at that point. So I moved off and went over to Birmingham Exiles, played for a few years, and then a couple of injuries sort of stopped me playing. And then back in 2019, when everything happened down here, my mum, Rona, who has been heavily involved in the club for almost 20 odd years, asked me to come down and put the boots on again, and with the promise of using enough tape to cover everyone on the squad. So yeah, and then been here since the rebuild of Bees.
Oh, cool. So, James, now you've had some time to settle in with the lads and kind of have a bit of time to implement what you're trying to do and stuff. What aspirations do you have going into the season, and perhaps a little bit more long term or something?
Yeah, so long-term goals for the club. In the next 5 years or so, we want to kind of get to level 7. That's kind of the long-term goals that have been set by the club. I think it's achievable with the right recruitment and playing style. This year, we're coming into what's a tough league with some tough sides. Upton, Bedworth, Stoke Old Boys this Saturday. Going to be very tough this season, along with other teams. So I think for ourselves, we've kind of set a target of aiming for top 4. If we can get in and around that, I think it would be a pretty good season.
Yeah, big moves. It kind of leads into you. So Jonny, you've been around the club the last few years, obviously coming through the Merit League and into last season joining the league structure again and stuff. Have you noticed any differences around the squad this year going into this?
We had a big sort of influx of Colts last season when we went from the Merit League into the league structure, and they bedded in fantastically. And as a squad, we've completely gelled really nicely. And we've had a few new guys come down in pre-season who will look fantastic and looking sharp. And it's just, I think everyone's just absolutely raring to go for the season ahead now.
Oh, brilliant. We've had, looking at results anyway, a mixed pre-season. Obviously, the game against Aldridge with the win and the loss last on Saturday against Edwardians. So, was there lessons to be learnt from that carrying into the season and what you want to try and do in the league?
I think so, yeah. Obviously, we had that kind of inter-club game when Woodrush didn't want to play and blew off a few cobwebs there, which was good. Aldridge were a big side. I knew what they were like from having played them last season, and they were a tough test. And I think we managed to kind of cope with that well and implement some of our structure. Obviously the scoreline, I think, didn't really show how the game went, and I think the game was actually a lot closer than probably what the scoreline suggests. And same with the Eds game on Saturday just gone. We ultimately played against a side that 2/3 of their starting 15 had played at some point for their first team last year, and the success was there for them then. So we had a really good structure to that game. We were missing a few key players and key moments that ultimately led us to not scoring in that game. But I think overall it's been a pretty good pre-season. We're happy with it, and just hope we can kind of continue what we've done in those 2 games going into the weekend.
Brilliant. Now, unfortunately, Jonny, we're starting the season with some carryover injuries from last season. Boys have been off long term, and then some little knocks and stuff like that picked up in pre-season. Now, do you think? Well, it's not positive in the short term. Do you think long term, it might come across as we get a few months in with players coming back and stuff like that, or?
Oh, absolutely. Myself included, I'm one of the ones who's picked up a knock in pre-season, so I'm out for another couple of weeks. But I think we were saying the other day we could almost have an injured 15 at the moment. But in the long term, I do think that's a good positive thing for the club, because we're going to have people who are desperate to get some game time coming back into it, and they're going to be pushing for those shirts. But for the lads who are fit and are playing, then it's their shirt, and it's for those people coming back from an injury, it's up to them to prove at training and at all other times why they should get another shot in that shirt again. But I think it can only be a positive. Competition for places is fantastic, and it pushes everyone on, it motivates everyone. So yeah.
So really, to wrap up, there's obviously lots of positives coming into this season, new setup, and stuff like that. So what would both of you say to either first-time people, either players or supporters, or people who might be looking to come back down, something like that? What would be your message to them?
I think from my side, the big thing that drew me towards Bees was the fact, the history that the club's got. Everyone knows in the rugby community who Bees are within certainly the Midlands, and where they've come from, where they've been, and where we are now ultimately. I think a lot of what, from a playing side, a lot of what was there when the club was in the National League structure is still here today, in terms of the backroom support and everything that surrounds the playing side. So from that perspective, we have the offering of ultimately a National Leagues club, in terms of the facilities and the structure here. There's other little things that we're trying to do to make the club more attractive. For example, the team building workshop that we did with Fizz Factory and Forders Gym a couple of weeks ago as well. So from a playing side, we're ambitious, and we're trying to give the players something different, as opposed to just training 2 times a week and playing on a Saturday. From a supporters perspective, I think we've got a young team, and we want to play an exciting, fast brand of rugby. So if people are at a loss on a Saturday afternoon, why not come down, have a beer, watch the game of rugby, and hopefully enjoy yourselves when doing that.
Yeah, I'd echo the majority of those points, to be fair. For players coming down, Tuesdays, Thursdays training, it's good fun. It's a great group of lads. Everyone gets on. It's all a really nice atmosphere down here. And yeah, from a sporting side, I think we're going to be playing some exciting rugby this year. So it will be one to be down here to watch.
Brilliant. So it'll be first league game of the season against Stoke Old Boys on Saturday at 3 p.m. over with them. So yeah, see you there.